Okay, then another question is, I think the totality of the all is comprises what I may call the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I reckon that even the ugly things that we find now concretize the is. So when we rail against or criticize what is now at this level, aren't we in a sense fighting against what is real now?
So was that the question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you ended up with are we or are you or what is fighting against what is real now?
Yeah.
Remember that point? I don't know if you remember. Paul was in one of the books, he was explaining his experiences as he was going through this. And it might have been in the book, Difficulties of Becoming the Living Master. It might have been that book where Rebazar would come and wake him up at night and say, get up and start writing. And, for a while he kept saying, I need my sleep. I need blah, 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 because Rebazar would come like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and most of the consciousness of the people was asleep. So, and that was his adventure too. Rebazar's on his own adventure too with all of this. And at a certain point, Paul shook his fist at heaven and said, why me? Why, again, it's like you're disrupting my life. And he was shaking at heaven, thinking that it was the gods that were manipulating him, which we've all been brought up that the gods, and we are like the chess pieces on the chessboard, and the gods are manipulating us. Well, again, this is the elementary things that we go through. And as you look at the old days, and especially, like the Roman Empire and the Greeks and all that, they always look to the gods. Well, the gods are this, and oh, the gods are shining on you. It's always the God thing, okay? So we've went through many lifetimes of that and back to Atlantis and whatever. And so it would seem as though, yes, and yes, it is because it's the personal self, because the personal self at a certain point has already set its life in motion. You come into this body, you're raised by your parents, but at a certain point, maybe it's 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever. It's like, oh, gee, mommy, when I grow up, I want to be a fireman. And you're really focused on that. And you play with little fire engines and you dress the part. Maybe you got a little fireman's hat on. And, this is what you do. You've set that intent. You've set yourself in motion as that's what you want to do because you see that in the world. And so when all of a sudden this comes around to where you have this opportunity, etc., it interferes with what you've decided. And so what do you do? So it seems like at first you resist. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to see this. Oh, what is that? It's strange. It's weird, etc. I'll use Sandy Staling as an example when she had the real side experiences and she was shown the new you and she was referred to, oh, there's somebody else, doing things here, So she decided to look it up, and she'd been in the corporation for almost 50 years, and she was set in that. And I don't know if she was satisfied or not. That's her thing. Whatever her ideas about it. And she had all her friends there, all these relationships that were all goody goody supposedly. They all bake cakes together or whatever. Okay, so but all of a sudden she looks on the computer and she finds, oh, wow, there is the new you here and there's this or that or whatever. And I saw her on the real side right before she stepped up. Paul motioned to her and said, oh, there's Duane. And I also saw Joni to the right of me with her head in her hands, thinking, oh my gosh, there goes another one. And so, but she decided to take that risk. No one told her to do it. It was up to her. All the boys could do is present it to her. And so all we can do is present it. And it's not a magic pill. It's more so a huge struggle. Okay. It's not to where you're looking for a comfort zone as you always have. We have the comfort life here. We buy couches, and so we sit on them. It's like, oh, this is a great couch. And then we become couch potatoes and we watch TV and become subliminally brainwashed. Okay, that's the norm, all right? And to make an effort to do something on our own, that's a bigger deal. So yeah, it's that decision to be the risk taker and then decide to go through whatever it is, Charles. And you see that with the Africans. And yes, the decision, it's easier to go back to what you knew because that's all you have. And guess what? As you grow old and that moment comes when you pass from this life, and it's a warning that I'm giving out, is that you ain't going to just go to some place you want to go. You're going to go right to yourself, and you're not going to know where you're at, just like you're not going to know where you're at here if you don't figure it out right now.
Okay, then. Okay, then. Many a times you say, let's see what turns up. And I always take note of this statement. What I guess from this statement is that at this physical life level, with our mind and emotions, the recognition of maybe the recognition of someone who lives in the isness life is in his attitude to life. Thus, I come to the conclusion that attitude is maybe a determinant of dwelling in the isness life is on this life level. So, what is your take on this assertion about attitude being a determinant of dwelling in the isness life is?
A long time ago, Rebazar said, referring to the idea, love is demonstrated. Okay, so that's really what it is. It's yes. And so how is this so-called dwelling in the isness accomplished? Well, it's through demonstration. And like the sun shining, the sun doesn't talk about shining. It does it, you see? And so this comes through recognition because the sun has recognized how it can shine. It's really that simple. And so we have all these scientific applications, etc. So with the isness, it's the same thing. So the sun is doing something, isn't it? It's heating up the earth. It's making the grass green, the photosynthesis idea, according to science, whatever. Okay, it's doing something, isn't it? Right. Without the sun, where would we be? Boy, it wouldn't be nice. It would be worse than living on the moon. But we have the sunshine. And now we have the opportunity to more so and more so recognize the isness life is. And so it is through the demonstration of that. And how do we demonstrate that? Well, when it's your whole life, then you demonstrate it wholly. So you do everything you can from every position. And just like when Paul was here, all he did was right. All he did, this was his whole life. He wasn't on a mission. People think this mission idea. That's what Joni is saying. You know, well, we have missionaries and we're going out there and doing this. Well, the missionaries of the world, like the old Christians and whatever, if anything, they ruined people's life because that was their mission. And that's Joni's mission too. We don't have a mission here. Again, this is not a teaching or a path or any of these things. It's all about the isness. It's the new nowness. It's all clean in that respect. So, yeah. Well, anyhow, so that's what it really is, and it's how you see it and it's by what you do. And again, the first part is to, yes, you do the new you. You read the books. I suggest that just to get an idea of what we're doing here. And then you see also what we've created, that we've taken the next step. And it seems like, oh, well, gee, that's just a physical thing. You know, that's what the Ekkas see. It's like, oh, well, we don't care about the environment because, we're spiritual and we're beyond all that. No, you're not. Not beyond anything. There's no such thing. You're right here, right now. You're being affected. And guess what? Just like I said, when you go to the real side, everything equals itself. You got nothing. That's very real. Oh, you got some information. And just as Marjorie passed over and was seen, Claudie and Sandy were witnesses. I asked them to be witnesses. They saw it. Oh, she had a light around her. And you could think, oh, she has the light. No, she had the light of knowledge from the astral realm. That's as far as she went. And you know what? That faded really fast, gone, because she didn't use it, because she let the reptilians take her away. So, wow, things get real, don't they? So, what we think and consider here is one thing, but what we do equals a lot. And so, again, who will step up and do what is being done now? I've created all these things, just like in Paul's day. I was there and I did what I did. I shared what Paul was sharing. And especially when he wrote the dream course, The Secret Knowledge of Dreams. I went out to the colleges immediately and set up courses. That was my whole focus, because I liked the adventure and the mystery and all this and figuring that out. I did. It's very difficult. And that is one of the most difficult books, was The Secret Knowledge of Dreams. And then I wrote Your Dream Visions, which was a huge takeoff of that. And so I prompted myself off of certain books that Paul wrote too, but then I created my own. But I started with that to prompt myself to learn to write. And it took me about 2 years to where, and I did it every day, sometimes 8-10 hours a day. I just really focused on doing that, getting that out there to where all of a sudden it was my aha moment. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm getting this. I see how to do this. I see how to where I can sit down and write anything, etc. Getting to that point, because it's in the doing. And again, a lot of times people say, well, I don't know what to do. Well, you have your whole life experience and you see what's going on in the world. You have this now and you don't know what to do. Do something. Okay, just to start off, what I tell people is just take the images that we've created, and even I have created together thousands of images, literally thousands, and just go share these on Facebook. Take the ones that you want and make sense of it and go from there. But at least do something, and this is where everything equals itself. This is the most important part. This is where you get beyond your personal self. Until you totally do that and it becomes your life, you're not going to have the freedom you want. You're going to be at the mercy of your personal self and what it wants, which you've gone through for a lifetime. So yes, you can reach some kind of utopia in your mind that you think, oh, I'm here. No such thing. The thing being is life is always on and doing, like the sun shining. The sun doesn't go, oh, gee, I shined yesterday. I don't feel like shining today. You see, this is where I see the reality of the sun. One of the realities is sincerity. And when something is truly sincere, like the boys in the ISSS, it doesn't stop. It's always doing. But here in the personal self, we're back and forth. We flip the light switch on and off. Oh, well, I think I'll turn the light off. Oh, I think I'll turn it off. It's nighttime. I'm going to bed. You see, we go on and off with things. But when you get to the point where it's everything, your whole life, more so than your job or your career or your relationships, you're going to have those anyhow. But put them where they belong, as opposed to putting them in front of you to where you trip over them and you're just going to grow old with them, and you're going to have nothing because they come first. And I've seen individuals cross over, just like Marjorie and others, and they put their personal self first, even though they had other people had the idea, oh, they're this, they're that, whatever. Oh yeah, people thought that about a lot of people. The thing is, it ain't true. You look at them on the real side, you see their real intent. It's not true at all. People thought Obama was a great president. This man murdered more women and children than anybody. He's with the reptilians. He is a reptilian, but he looked good. Yeah, so again, things aren't what they seem, but, you know, putting things in perspective, but it's in the doing, and it's your intent with that doing. This is where we are now. We have come through all these lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, to get to the point where we have a complete, this is why I called it the true completeness courses, where you can complete all of this creation stuff into being what you really are, a free being of real light. You can complete this now. You can complete your awareness. Now you have that opportunity like never before. Because even when Paul was here, you know, he used the God idea because he babied people along. It was a babysitting time. But most people refer to the writings, don't they? Yes. And the doctrines. No, he said this or that. Or he plagiarized, and which he did. He purposely did that. Yeah. He didn't care. He just wanted to get out the reference material to something, but he had the intent, and he could see this isness. But he did it in a way that, you know, it was the elementary step. Now we're into the big issue, and whoa, this becomes scary to people. It's like, well, it's like I'm going to surpass my personal self altogether. Well, don't worry, it's still going to be there. But you're going to have a position like never before. But again, you need life to back you to make that real. Everything equals itself. So you got to prove yourself. You got to earn your way. This is where you earn your way. You just don't beg your way along, you see, and look for the next initiation or beg God and pray and all this stuff. We already went through all that. That's why I don't do any of that. It's very elementary. It's silly stuff right now. Now it's silly. It's like the days of masters and gurus are gone, and all the stuff that relates to them, it's nothing but old references of what not to do. So it's in the doing, Charles. And it's when you decide to become 100% with it, and you decide to get your entire life and everything that you've known focused on it, not just thinking about it, but what you do in the physical sense, your job and everything, to surpass that, okay, then you're on your way. But that's a biggie for people because they want to hang on to certain things. And again, everything is there. Everybody is there. Nobody's going anywhere. When you go to the real side, it's all here and now. And you can relate to any of it. But again, that intention and that standing real with the is, you decide how that's going to be. And when the is recognizes and sees that you recognize the reality of itself, then it backs you 100%. So it takes that, doesn't it? You have to, everybody, all parties, you might say, have to recognize each other, and then it works as it should. It's so cool.
Yeah, thank you, Duane.